pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports, then we have the podcast for you because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
Fans, welcome back for Working Fans Saturday, episode 49, where we're going to do a 5-3-1 on the top super heavyweights. Fans, this week on Working Fans Saturday, it's the man they call Dave, producer Joe sitting in for AJ Strangebrew. That man had to run to the hills after a marathon recording session yesterday. We got some good stuff cooking up that we can't wait for you guys to see. And a list that we're a little less excited to bring to you is the top super heavyweights. And before we went on the air, Dave and I really had a discussion about, first, what is a super heavyweight? And 2, there's not many really big guys anymore.
No, there's no Yokozuna. There's no Andre the Giant. It's just not a massive man. First guy I remember that I thought was massive was probably an MLW, former guest of the show, Barrington Hughes.
Barrington Hughes, I would have included him if he had been more active lately.
Sure. Yeah.
He hasn't been, and I was thinking, I'm like, shit, there's not really many other people like Barrington Hughes. Now, I'll give you my list just to give you an idea of where I went with it. The first person I put down was Jonah Rock.
Okay. Oh, good one.
And then I put down Tyrus. Even though he hasn't been as super active lately, he has been a force on NWA. Yeah, we miss our favorite super heavyweight, AJ Strangebrew, as well. And then after I had Jonah Rock Tyrus, I included Juicy Finau, who's that guy in GCW. He teamed with Jacob Fatu against Starboy Charlie and Chris Dickinson recently. And then, of course, that led me to adding Jacob Fatu to my list. And then I was struggling to come up with a 5th one, and Randy here says Keith Lee. I should have thought of that. I included Jeff Cobb because I had just watched MLW War Chamber. And, I mean, the shit's on the internet now, so fuck a spoiler alert. He comes out in the Matanza getup.
Yeah.
And then just drops it before he goes to the ring. Coming down to the ring is Jeff Cobb. Yeah, and I was like, holy shit. Like, this is what I look for in pro wrestling.
Yeah, it was fucking cool. I got
even
that.
Without the jumpsuit, he's super wide and just super thick.
Yeah, you still love my thunder. I got that in my stories. I got that in my list. All right. So, was that your top 5? I was
That was my top 5. Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to promote some shit at the same time, be smooth. I was like,
yeah, we used to have a much longer commercial, but
I know
we actually filmed that new one yesterday, and I thought it came out pretty good.
I did too. We looked pretty good at it, you know.
It's more to the point too. It's not like you're starting off the show with 3 minutes of videos. Now It's like you got 2 minutes tops, and boom, we're in.
So I'll give you my top 5 super heavyweights. Like you, I was fresh off the MLW War Chamber this week, so the very first 2 names that came on my list, Jacob Fatu and Jeff Cobb. You know, I thought it was pretty cool how he did it. You know, with Matanza coming out there. And he's got, like, you know, the gimmick, and we're going for Lucha Underground. Then he takes it off. And it's like, no, it's Jeff Cobb. And it's like, okay, which is super cool. Yeah, I got Keith Lee. Randy, I didn't forget him either. Motherfucker hasn't been, like, super active lately, but Bearcat will be back. I love you, Bearcat. Walter, another guy that's been out for a while since he lost that match to Dragunov. I think he did do the European tour with Cesaro recently. But to me, one of the great super heavyweights. I put Brock Lesnar down. At the end of the day, he's the last.
That's a good one. I don't know how I didn't think of him.
He's a big attraction. He's not very active. And if you're not like following WWE or think about WWE a lot, I could see where he kind of gets off the radar. Randy Cross is a good one too.
Now, Randy, before we move on from the top 5 of super heavyweights, give us your top 5 list while we're waiting. And, we'll kill some time before we move on to our top 5 of the week. But
yeah, I was going to say PCO would have been a good one too.
Oh, he is another good one. He's one of those guys been in Ring of Honor, so he didn't even like fully come to mind.
Yeah, no doubt. And another guy who's I think he's more of the bodyguard role, but he's been wrestling a little more. And I think he's got the potential. Wardlow.
Yeah, he's another good one.
He does the F5 or F10 as he calls it. He has the knockout move, drops you on his knee. He's agile. He's a guy I could think down the road if pushed right. On that vein, Brian Cage, obviously a big jacked up guy.
He's another good guy.
Yeah.
Will Hobbs.
Yeah, Will Hobbs. Absolutely. Will Hobbs.
Of course, now we're coming up with all these names.
Right.
Like we're making these lists. Like, what is a super heavyweight?
I know. That's interesting. Randy's trying to put some.
Here we go.
Oh, you got it. Keith Lee, Killer Cross, PCO, Walter, and Wardlow. Yeah. So
that's not a bad list there. And I mean, wrestling's really moved away from the bigger guys, even though it seems like Vince McMahon wants to go back towards that.
Yeah.
It's more of really like a cruiserweight almost type sport.
Ironically,
I love.
They got rid of Hit Row, and that had Top Dollar in it. And Top Dollar, although you figured he would check off all the boxes. Huge guy, could talk. They had him on that A&E thing there. And but I also, there was a rumor out coming from, who knows how true it is that I want to say Meltzer reported it, that he was difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
But if he was difficult to deal with, the rest of the guys are gone. So,
well, I mean, let's play a quick commercial for the other live shows on the Buzz, and we'll get to our top 5 of the week, which I'm sure we will be talking more about that.
Where's the competition? Bring on the competition. We need some competition. Y'all ain't no competition. It's time to ball. Yeah, shawty, time to brawl. Cause see, we about to stomp y'all from the jump fall. Me worry not at all. Your team is gonna fall. Hope you learn something from it, cause we schooling all of y'all. Putting you to shame. Don't hate you even came. Bringing the pain to anybody coming through the lane. Simple and plain, we gon' play it like we playing dames. Ain't got a chance, even if we give away the game. So hope you brought your best. Go put your skills to the test. An early off season, about to lay your team to rest. Chalk is another loss. That's what it's gonna cost. Go with your instincts if you're having second thoughts. Your buck, this is where it stops, player. From the point to the center, whole team got hops, player. We be the kings of this division, here to knock you out the box, player. Just wait until I get the rock, player. We tired of playing losers. Oh, y'all think y'all some winners? No matter who we up against.
God, that's the full squad over there at the Buzz.
Hey, shout out to Ted the Hillbilly Heel, who just retweeted us for a link that I put out for this. Guys always liking and retweeting us. Ted, I don't know if you're listening to us. We're just talking about super heavyweights, but your work doesn't go unnoticed, man. We appreciate you retweeting and liking our shit. So hats off to you, brother.
Oh, yeah, it does it all the time. Now, that's a squad of heavy hitters over there at the Buzz. Shout out to everyone over there. We're hoping to bring you thankfully, a special Survivor Series review this Sunday. And it's going to be producer Joe.
At 2 a.m, so he bowed out gracefully a long time ago. AJ left his.
And then AJ forgot his computer, so
it's on producer Joe.
Said he arranged it, but is not going to be there. So now, God willing, we'll bring it to you, and hopefully we'll get a co-collaborator on that.
Producer Joe might have a mystery partner. Got something in the works.
Yeah, somebody that doesn't even want to be watching the show will be watching and reviewing it. And also shout out to Chevy, really making a difference in starting with us over here and being a good fourth man. Like, we'll joke all the time about AJ, and, most of the time we're like fully kidding. Sometimes it's like, hey, motherfucker, wake up. But Chevy has really been like a godsend and really like helping out, and we got some good stuff featuring him coming up.
Stepping up, baby.
Now, talking about our top 5 of the week, I'm going to start with mine. I got to start with Full Gear. It was a bitch of a viewing experience last week because we were trying to watch it on Fire Stick, and apparently that's a problem. But once we got into the show, I thought the show was amazing and ended with Hangman Page winning the title. There we go. Randy's got some memories. And with Hangman Page, what's that?
98?
98.
Oh, okay. So that was with Taker and Mankind. Hell in a Cell.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that with AJ that night, by the way, too. So, little fun fact: all the working fans were out watching that pay-per-view that night.
Everyone coming around. Bleacher Report app. It's definitely a problem. And one of the biggest problems with it is they made a new Bleacher Report app. So on some things, it was Bleacher Report Live before. Now it's just plain Bleacher Report. Right. It shows up on my Fire Stick as 2 different Bleacher Report apps that look the same. So kind of fuck Bleacher Report. But in the end, finally got to watch the show. I thought it was great, like I said. Second on my list was MLW War Chamber. We got into it a little bit earlier with Jeff Cobb coming out like Matanza. And overall, I thought it was just a great show. I look forward to everything MLW does. For instance, they do an annual Thanksgiving show that I can't wait to see. Third on my top 5 of the week, and this one isn't like a top 5 favorite things. This is a news item. It's more the WWE releases. You had John Morrison, the rest of Hit Row, like you said, Jackson Riker, and a few other people. I don't remember all the names, but it's just surprising the amount of people they've cut over the last 2 years. Some people you can understand because they've been with them for a while, never made it to TV. But some people are big acts featured almost weekly on their shows.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. Yeah, I had WWE cuts on mine. And just to piggyback off of that a little bit, Joe, Drake Maverick in particular was the name you didn't mention, but I mentioned him because he put out a video almost instantly. And if you remember, Drake got cut. He was one of the first cuts last year. I want to say like when the Good Brothers got cut and Drake put out that video and Drake like basically saved his job. And this time you see Drake almost in a similar thing. Might have even been the same video, except for this time he films like himself coming to him, talk himself and saying, hey, snap out of it. We've been here before. We know what we're doing. Everything they've ever given you, you turn to gold. You want to be a manager? You make it gold. They want you to chase around a belt 24/7. You make it gold. He says, they want you he says, they fired you and you made it gold. He said, so you're ready. Let's go out there and get it. And I thought, fucking brilliant. John Cena even like retweeted it like early on when this happened. And, you know, obviously still works with WWE. And he said, follow this brilliant performer. And, you know, this is gold. I thought, what can you say?
Yeah, 100%. Now, number 4 on my top 5 of the list this week, we recorded our first wrestling commentary for a while for Knockout Wrestling Vengeance Part 1. I just got the file in my messenger today, so I will see when we can post it. It was fun to get back in the booth and actually try doing that again because it had been a little while. We went away from Knockout. We came back. And it's fun to get those opportunities. Like you said, it's not something we would have thought that we would have done in the beginning. But now that we're doing it, it's like, God, let us get in. Let us get another opportunity, another rep at it.
Absolutely. Even if it's, it's not always easy. We got a lot on our plates, but it's fun to get in there. And, I mean, come on. I mean, we grew up watching pro wrestling and announcers like Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and even a little bit of Gordon Soley when I was growing up. I mean, that's stuff we grew up on. So.
And it's wild, that we can say like that's on our resume somewhere, like pro wrestling commentator, no matter how low level. Damn and right. My number 5 of the week was the Bryan Danielson heel tendencies in that promo and then in that match. Like such a good heel. And I hope we get to see that from him because he's just it reminds me of those old Ring of Honor days, and I love it.
Absolutely. And since that was your fifth one, hold on a second.
Oh, you can't even hear those coughs or sneezes no more.
No,
My man's got a mute button.
Yeah, if I didn't start talking, you wouldn't know. But yeah, to piggyback, like I already gave my WWE cuts because you had that either. I also have Hangman Danielson confrontation. I didn't put down Full Gear because technically it was on a Saturday. So even though I guess that would count, but I didn't go there. So we'll just keep it going. I had the Hangman Danielson confrontation. This guy's brilliant. He's absolutely a fantastic worker. Yeah. I don't even know how. Like, he was awesome in WWE too. I don't want to take away because everybody talks about how great he is now, but he was really good in WWE too. He's actually one of the best, maybe the best. And now he's even better. So let's put that in perspective, okay? Like, he is that freaking good. And that's in ring we're talking about. Now let's go back to when he was at WWE for a minute when this guy was doing the vegan gimmick and he was a heel and he had this vegan belt. You know, it was amazing. He showed signs of brilliance.
I love that, the hempen wood belt.
Oh my God. It's awesome. And now here he is. He's so smart. AEW, passionate fan base. What does he do to get these guys pissed off? He just makes a little comment like, I guess some people like to take time and celebrate after they win the world title. After I won my world title at WrestleMania, you know, a little emphasis on WrestleMania. Immediately before he even finishes, the crowd's got the red ass. They're pissed. And he's like, you know, he's like, I wrestled the next night. And then he's like, oh, yeah, Virginia likes to boo hard work. And then he starts to see that smile on his face where he's just enjoying it. And, yeah, man, he's awesome. I also want to put down, because I thought that Dynamite was really good, CM Punk MJF confrontation as well. It wasn't quite as good to me as Hangman Danielson, but it was also an awesome thing. Like, okay, now we're going to get MJF versus CM Punk. And they didn't overkill it. He basically came out. He refused to shake MJF's hand, and then he left. And it was a nice little tease. Like, we're not even going to, like, you know, give you really, you're just going to get us a little smidgen. You know what you guys are getting. We know you're starving for it.
I hope they paid that off at like the next pay-per-view so we get that much of a long draw out on that angle.
Agreed. I agree. Yeah, let's make it. Take your time. Slow burn, baby. I also have Jeff Cobb in the War Chamber. So just that was a nice surprise to see him come out the way they did it, like Joe talked earlier about. Absolutely awesome. Big fan of Jeff Cobb. I like the end of this where Jacob Fatu ends up beating the other members up. It's totally worth watching. It's a great physical match. Kind of wondering where Joseph Samuel is. I don't know if he's retiring or if he was injured, but I kind of missed him in this thing. Really only a little thing, but I enjoyed this a lot. And I'm also going to throw one out for Impact this week because they has their main event, Minoru Suzuki versus Josh Alexander. And that is a great match. Josh Alexander was also on Fight in the Valley. I'm blanking out on who he wrestled, but he had a good match on there too. You might have remembered.
Oh, I want to say that was Yuya Uemura because he opened the thing, and Uemura is a young lion on Excursion, and the him versus Alexander matchup was a perfect fit.
It was, and that was good. This match with Suzuki.
Shit, how did that Battle in the Valley card not make it to one of our lists?
It was good. I watched it all week. It took me a long time because I was super busy with the podcast and so much wrestling this week, but it held my interest. Every day I would go back and I'm like, all right, where am I? And I'd start watching stuff because
look at that. Randy's got the breaking news, and Tom Lawler is done with MLW.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I knew Tom Lawler was done. Yeah, Joseph had fight problems. All right. That's interesting to know. Because I think he is such a great part of that package with Joseph Fatu. And I really liked them together. And Joseph Fatu to me, not just Jacob Fatu, but Joseph Samuel, rather. Jacob Fatu is amazing. Like, he is a monster, super heavyweight, super athletic. But Joseph Samuel, to me, is just this classic, old school heel, you know, shades of the original Sheik, throwing fireballs at people. Really knows how to get heat. We've seen him, like, really piss off people before. Big fan of his.
If you remember the second Battle Riot for MLW, they came into the ring and appeared to pour gasoline onto, I can't remember who they had down, and made it look like they were going to light them on fire. Right. I remember that in particular because I was front row going, holy fuck. Like, obviously they're not going to light them on fire, but they are doing their best to make this look real.
Yeah.
Fatu could turn face. He he really was I feel like he's the face of that company right now. Like Hammerstone's a good champion,
Right.
but I feel like Fatu, he just has more that menacing look and just that image that you can put on MLW.
Yeah, I think he could be like almost the special attraction role for them right now. Like keep the belt on Hammerstone, and Jacob Fatu almost doesn't even need it. Like when you go to MLW, like if you follow MLW, you like MLW, like about Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, 100%. Now, anything else catch your eye this week? I mean, I think we really covered most of it. The releases seem to be the biggest news item.
Yeah.
We're going into Survivor Series. You guys did a review about it yesterday. I honestly would have sat in on. You guys did a preview of it yesterday.
Yep.
I would have sat in, but I could give two shits about it. I watched like half a SmackDown last night. I think they lost me when whoever that dude was that ran out. He told a shitty joke, and then Adam Pearce came out, and I'm like, I'm done. The pay-per-views for the main roster never usually let down, and I'm a sucker for Survivor Series. Like, I loved it when it used to be a whole show of 5 versus 5 matches. Now it's just a single 5 versus 5 match. So
me and AJ were talking about
it. I'm reviewing it. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, me and AJ talked about it. It's more like for us, and maybe because we still follow the product a little bit. AJ a little more than me, honestly. But I like stakes, and that's the one thing this is kind of missing for me is stakes. But if you're going into it and you're just looking for some good wrestling, there are some good matches on this show. I'm not hyped at it as from a storyline perspective, but Big E, Roman, Charlotte, Becky, and some of these 10-man tags could be fun. So if you're just looking to like chill out, I'd say it could be a fun show. If you're looking at this like, oh man, I can't wait to see what they're going to do next, maybe take the night off because they surprised me.
And Randy was right. SmackDown was in Hartford last night.
Yeah.
Makes sense because Survivor Series is at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. I'm just hoping to be pleasantly surprised and at least base level entertained. I know I'm not going to be blown away by anything. I just hope it's not horrible.
No, I think
my personal enthusiasm. Yeah, and my personal enthusiasm for the WWE is just at an all-time low. Like when you're letting go people that you should have knocked it out of the park with. I don't watch NXT as appointment viewing as much as I used to. And even when I watch it now, I watch it like I watched SmackDown last night. I'll watch till there's something that I'm like, nah, I'm just not going to do it after that. And there's always something that comes early.
Yeah, no, honestly, I think at this point, I used to make fun of Raw all the time. Some weeks since they did this draft thing, like Raw's actually been a better show, and that's a struggle because that's 3 hours.
Yeah.
But SmackDown, I think, I don't know. I want to say if they've had 3 or 4 episodes, it's like 50-50 right now. There've been a couple good ones, a couple bad ones, but they used to be a little more consistent. And NXT has fallen so far off the radar now with this stuff. I mean, I can find a few bright spots if I try. I keep up with it. But, man, that fast forward button is pretty handy on my remote right now these days when I watch that shit.
Yeah, and there you see Randy brought up Impact has Turning Point tonight. I didn't even realize that. I might watch it. You guys actually, after listening to the Combat Cast so much lately, you've gotten me into watching the fight nights. And I try and catch the early prelims just to watch as much fighting as I can to try and get into it. And I'm actually more excited for that today, that card.
Yeah.
The prelims start at 3, main card at 6, right?
That's right. Me and Chevy doing the work. We got producer Joe in this now. And if we get
it's always been a struggle because most of those cards are on late at night. And up until this year, I had a job that was morning, so late nights didn't really work.
Yeah, and
now these late night cards don't always work now, but I've seen more lately than I think I ever have.
Yeah, there's been a few earlier shows too. So yeah, Randy's excited. Misha Tate. Randy follows combat sports and pro wrestling, so he's a fan. But yeah, Misha Tate. I'll pick for not going to do predictions, but yeah, I'll say she gets it done today.
Now, just for people that might be light MMA fans that we don't ever really discuss it here, what are a couple of the other fights on the card that you're looking forward to?
The other fight, I'm not like really big into this card overall, but I would say one other fight is the co-main event. Mike Kiesa and Sean Brady. Brady's 14-0, but Kiesa is a guy who was a contender at lightweight, always a top 10, kind of top 15 guy. He went to welterweight. He was like 3-4-0, looked dominant, and then he ran into a guy named Vincent Luque, and Luque caught him. And this is Kiesa's first fight back since that loss, and he's looking to get back on track. He's a top 10 guy, and here's Brady, who's 14-0, and this will be his biggest test. So it'll be interesting to see. It's almost like they're not doing either one a favor. Like, Kiesa's coming off that loss. You think they'd maybe try to help him out and give him an easier opponent, but nope, you're getting this undefeated guy. And as for Brady, it's like, yeah, you're undefeated, but you're getting Kiesa, like this big, strong wrestler guy who can take you down. In case you all forgot, Josh DeBoer, baby, Cody Rhodes, he loves him. Josh, man, we hope you're doing well, though. Yeah, it is on ESPN Plus, ready.
Now, I got to cut you off there for a preview, because if you go over to our YouTube right now, we have the preview up there where the man they call Dave and Chevy at Cheveruni on Twitch review that card. And guys, we will talk to you again next week, and have a good week. Get fucked. Thanksgiving's Thursday.